How dark are you willing to go?
I'm okay with dark.
When they lowered my dead wife into the ground in her coffin, I had an intense, visceral urge to get into the box with her. It was so strong. I couldn't stand it that she was alone in there and that I would never know what was happening to her. It wasn't a literary or an intellectual thing. It was right here, pulling me hard.
That's a clip from The Shrouds. I'm very pleased to say that we're joined by David Cronenberg. David, welcome to the programme. Firstly, congratulations on the film, which has haunted me since I saw it. The interesting thing is, at the centre of it is a device, a shroud, that enables loved ones, enables people who have lost loved ones to see the bodies of their loved ones decomposing in real time, which sounds like a very morbid idea, but our central character says, no, to me, I find it reassuring. And I wonder if you can say something about the fact that a film called The Shrouds, although it is about grief, is not simply about grief.
Well, I think a full-length feature film that's only about one emotion or one, let's say, human mode would be rather boring. Ultimately, it'd be like playing one note on the piano. So if you think, as I do, that all the purpose of all art is to examine the human condition is quite complex and fluid and constantly changing. So I can imagine only dealing with grief in a movie. I think that would be shortchanging the possibilities of your art. So to me, it's a sort of the emotional jumping off spot to explore all kinds of things, including, technology, the vagaries of human emotion, and what can I say? The complexity of humor, the fact that I think, because I think we have evolved to have a sense of humor as a survival mechanism, a movie without humor is not fully human as far as I'm concerned. So that's why I think the movie is also funny. Different audiences I've found find it more or less funny. And I think part of it, was the Cannes Film Festival audience is a very strange, unusual audience. There's subtitles. There are a couple of versions of subtitles. And of course, there's the glamour. Can we laugh at Cronenberg's movie? There he is sitting there in a tuxedo looking very serious. Is it okay to laugh at his movie? And the answer is yes. And in fact, you must. But so yeah, that's why a movie is a little universe and it has to have a lot of things in it to be a fully convincing, vibrant, alive universe.
That question about whether we're allowed to laugh is also put more acutely into focus by the fact that, as people will know, you made the film after losing your wife, and it was dealing with the issue of grief which you were dealing with. And you've said very specifically, it's not catharsis, it's not to do with working through, it's just to do with using your life experience for your art. Is that how you feel about The Shrouds?
Yeah, absolutely. It's there is a school of thought that feels that art is in basis therapeutic endeavor for humans, and I completely don't think that at all. It's more like play. It's like, well, why would you make a movie about the death of your wife if you weren't going to be grieving and sobbing and curled up in the fetal position all the time while you're on the film set? And the answer is that it's not an attempt to heal. It's an attempt to play with the events and facts of my life to create something that's different, that's alive, that's exploratory, and that does help me understand what life is, what it is like to be a human being on this planet at this time. Um, so, and humor is a huge part of that. And if you want your characters to be completely alive and to take over the making of the movie, and I'll explain that in a second, then you have to have humor. They have to have, even if they are saying things that are funny that they don't realize are funny, but the audience does,
Yeah.
that don't count as humor. You can have a movie full of people who have no sense of humor themselves as characters. But for the audience, there has to be an understanding that makes them laugh at certain times. So, and I have had to say, because of course the facts of my wife's death in 2017 are somewhat known, and that the movie is about that loss on a certain level. But as I've said many times, as soon as you start to write the screenplay, you're writing fiction. You are creating characters who don't really exist, and they insist on existing if you're lucky. And then they push you around and they start to say things that you didn't really expect them to say. And they start to do things you didn't really want them to do for your narrative. And you have to deal with that. But underneath that, it's very exciting because it means that they're alive. And at that point, then you are writing fiction. You are not writing autobiography. It's, of course, every work of art is autobiographical in the broadest sense because it comes out of your culture, out of your education, out of your mentality, out of your reading or your movie going, whatever it is. And so it's very unique to you, and it becomes, in that sense, always autobiographical, no matter, even if you're doing some small sketches as an artist. So, but on the more specific idea of this is almost a documentary. No, this is not that. This movie is not that.